Hi, I'm Anne from Straight Grain Patterns, and in this video I will show you how to insert a hidden or invisible zipper. It's not a hard thing to do, but there are a few things that can go wrong. So I dug up some old dresses to show you some common problems with hidden zippers. A first thing that can go wrong is that the hidden zipper isn't hidden. All you should be able to see here is a seam. That is obviously not the case with this dress. You can clearly see the blue zipper. This dress is a lot better in that respect, but there is another big problem, the wrinkles around the zipper. This is also a common issue, and in this video I will explain why that is and what you can do about it. In the next dress, the fabric is not wrinkled along the zipper, but there's another issue. At the top we have too much of a V shape, rather than two nice 90-degree corners. I also have a smart trick to avoid this problem. And finally, this dress shows a fourth common problem. The seam between the bodice and the skirt is not a straight line. As you can see, the left seam is lower than the right one. Not all garments have a seam running across the hidden zipper, of course, but if there is one, we would like it to be straight. Also have a little trick for that. So in this video, I will show you how to insert a hidden zipper, and then more specifically, when you have a garment that has a lining or a facing. As an example, I'll be using this Hanami dress, which I've pretty much finished except for the hidden zipper. This dress has a lined bodice, but if you're making a dress or a top or whatever with a facing, the technique which I'll be explaining is exactly the same. Okay, let's start with the first step. You open the hidden zipper, and then you flip it over, put it with its right side on the right side of the garment. So what is then the right hand part will be pinned to the left hand part of the garment. Make sure that you keep the lining or the facing out of the way. At the top, the hard plastic square little piece should be placed a fraction underneath the seam between main and lining. So the top edge of the little square should be at say 1 or 2 millimeters or 1/16 of an inch underneath that seam. Most hidden zippers have a seam allowance of 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. This Hanami dress also has a seam allowance of 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch included, so we can just line up the edge of the zipper with the edge of the fabric. If you would have, say, a seam allowance of 1.5 centimeters, you would have to place the zipper a 1/2 centimeter away from the fabric edge, of course. It's very important to pin carefully here. Those little wrinkles in the fabric that I talked about in the beginning of this video, they are caused by the fact that your sewing machine processes the fabric faster than it processes the zipper. And it's by pinning well that you can mitigate this effect and avoid those wrinkles. So make sure not to stretch the fabric nor to pin it too loosely. And then we will install our hidden zipper presser foot. And you really need a hidden zipper foot in order to be able to install your hidden zipper perfectly and effortlessly. These special feet have 2 grooves, which will accommodate the coils of the hidden zipper, and that way the needle will always stitch at the same correct distance from the coils. So when we stitch the left side of the garment, we'll make the zipper coils go through the left groove. You'll have to push the coils open a bit in order to get them into the groove at first. The idea is for the needle to go into the zipper right next to the coils. With this Bernina machine, this is the case when the needle is set in the middle, so in the default position. With other machines, it could be that you have to move the needle a bit. With my old Pfaff machine, the needle couldn't be moved, but the hidden zipper foot could. So it depends a bit from one machine to another how you would do it, but the point is to make sure that the needle goes in right next to the coils. If you stitch too closely to the coils, the zipper won't open and close. If you stitch too far away from the coils, your hidden zipper won't be hidden but visible. So be careful. And so you stitch from top to bottom until you hit the zipper puller and you end with a back stitch. Then we need to pin the other half of the zipper. We'll also do this with right sides together. It's very important here that the zipper isn't twisted, so watch carefully how I do it. But first, we need to make sure that the seam in the dress will be a straight line, as you'll remember common problem number 3 from the beginning of the video. So first I will close the seam and mark on the right half of the zipper where the seam will need to be. I'm using a pin here, but you can also mark it with a pen or a pencil. And next you'll pin the marking precisely on the seam between bodice and skirt. And next you can pin the rest of the right half of the zipper. Make sure that at the top the plastic square is in the same position as it is on the left hand of the garment. And when you've pinned everything, you can stitch. There are 2 options here. You can stitch the zipper from the top to the bottom with the coils going through the right groove of the zipper foot, but then your garment will be on the right side of the needle, which makes sewing a bit more difficult. Or you can do it like I do it and sew from the bottom to the top so that you can keep your garment on the left hand side of your needle. The downside here is that the bottom part still has to be stitched the other way around because you cannot access the bottom part otherwise. But this is the way how I prefer it. So I stitch all the way from bottom to top. And with a back stitch. And as you can see here, you still have to stitch that last part of the zipper with the garment on the right side of the needle and the coils in the right groove. And I'm also stitching down right until I hit the zipper puller. And so now the hidden zipper is attached to the main fabric. First check if you can close it easily, and then we will pin the lining or the facing to the zipper. The top part of the zipper will not be cut off, we will be folding it away. As what I always do to make it easier is give a little cut in the zipper tape right next to the plastic little square. It is not absolutely necessary, but it will make it easier to achieve that perfect corner. So I give a little snip and then I turn the top part 90 degrees to the right. And then we'll be pinning main and lining or facing with right sides together. So you'll take the facing or the lining and fold it over the zipper and you'll pin it well. Here as well, make sure not to stretch the fabric or make it hang too loosely. As you can see, for this dress, I've pressed the bottom of the lining under because I'll be finishing it with the stitch in the ditch method later on. For other garments, things can be entirely different. Perhaps you're working with a facing with a serged edge, which will not be pressed under. So just follow your pattern instructions here. And then when your main and lining or facing have been pinned together, you can also stitch them with your hidden zipper foot. This time we won't be stitching right next to the zipper coils. We'll be leaving some space in between. So on my sewing machine, I'm moving my needle one position to the right. With other sewing machines, you may have to move your foot instead. It depends. So I'm stitching from top to bottom again, but a bit further away from the coils than I did with the main dress. This will make sure that the zipper can be easily opened and closed. When you attached the left side lining or facing, you can use the same method to attach the right half of the garment. Next, you can trim the corners of the fabric a bit, and then you can turn the lining right side out. Here I'm showing why I had already pressed under the edge of the lining of my dress. As you can see, it'll be right where it needs to be when I'm finishing up with the stitch in the ditch method. So here, let's pull out that corner a bit. And then here I'm showing why I positioned my needle away from the coils when I was stitching the lining. As you can see, now the lining isn't right next to the corners, there's a little space in between, and hence the zipper will open and close easily. Then all we need to do is close the seam underneath the zipper. First, we'll pin both halves with right sides together. So we'll turn the garment wrong side out. So we'll just pin those two halves together, starting underneath the zipper. I already pressed under the hem of the skirt, so I'll open it again. And then when everything is pinned together, we're gonna stitch both halves together. And I do that with my regular presser foot. But you can also use a regular zipper foot, not a hidden zipper foot, but a regular zipper foot. Some sewists find it easier to get to the end of the zipper, but I use my regular foot and it works fine. So you'll stitch from bottom to top until you reach the end of the zipper. Don't try to get too close to that end because then it won't look very good on the outside. So it's okay to leave some space underneath the zipper. And then you'll press the seam open and your hidden zipper is done. If you'd like to sew something for girls with a hidden zipper, you may want to try these patterns: the Hanami dress, which I used in this video, or the Felice top and dress, the Lara dress, or the Tinny. And thank you for watching!